All right, another episode of Conversate After Dark. Tay, what's up with you?
Everything's good with me. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good. Tell people how they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or you have a subject you want us to talk about, you can reach us at CVAD, the podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. You got a steamy story. You want our opinion on something, send it on to us. And we'll read it on the air and we'll dissect it for you. But on today's show, got a good guest. All of our guests are good, but I know this guest in particular will be very, very good. I'm set the bar high for you. We got Miss Annie Pearl from Atlanta. Annie, how you doing?
Doing good.
Annie, are you okay? All right, so we start off the show the same way. I'm gonna let Tay do her thing.
Okay, Andy, every show we start off with conversation cards. So I have 3 categories. I'm going to read you the categories and let you choose which one we answer, but we're all going to answer the question.
Okay.
So the categories are extreme personal questions, the sexy 69 after dark, and who's the biggest pervert?
The sex is 69 after dark.
Okay.
I always like the biggest pervert.
Okay. How important is great sex to a relationship?
I would say for me, 8.5.
Okay.
Why
So
so?
It's pretty high on the list for me because I think it's that connection, that through and through fulfillment. So if you have everything else that's, checking the boxes, that to me completes the through on through fulfillment. If someone is not checking those boxes, then it would, not have as strong of a connection. And who wants wandering eyes? I don't want to be looking somewhere else or thinking about other things because everything else is great about a person, but I'm not actually satisfied there.
I would say it's important. I don't know if I could put a number on it. I think a lot of people say they want great sex like all the time. And I guess they want it like, every night of the week. For me, I could go with like maybe 2 dope sessions a week and just us spending quality time together, like, talking about our day. I know this may sound weak to some of the brothers, but like at this age, at 46, yeah, let's just maybe twice, 3 times a week, we have like a real bomb session. And then the rest of the time, we are just working on our connection in other ways in terms of maybe watching a TV show together, doing some sort of outdoor activity together, or just, talking about different things or working on a project together. I think those are the things that are probably would rank, I don't want to say higher for me. I think they're all important. I think they're all necessary to have a healthy relationship. But I don't have to, just have, where we, hanging from the ceiling and doing all kind of crazy shit, 4 or 5 times a week. I know at this age, men, we're kind of trending down and women are trending up in terms of like sex drive. I still think it's important, but I just don't need to have it like all the time. This a couple times a week is good for me.
Well, I think that there's a balance because that is definitely probably a thing as a female that I would say that I'm encountering, especially if liking older men. But yeah, for me, the older I get, the more the drive goes up. So I don't expect to keep somebody in the bedroom 7 nights a week. So kind of tantric sex, the intimacy doesn't have to be full on intercourse every time. It can be toys, it can be panty play, several other things can occur as long as the arousal is met and the orgasm is had.
All right. So what's panty play?
So for me, panty play would be the integrating of toys. It has nothing to do with him. It's for my pleasure only. So it could be masturbation by him, toys, oral, other, let's just say, what we want to say, fruits and vegetables.
Okay. All right. So basically everything but the penis going in the vagina.
Yeah. So I think that, with that commonality and the awareness that men's sex drives are starting to taper off. And so that many nights a week is not good for them. You kind of want to let them preserve themselves some so that you can have a full on show, but doesn't mean
That's nice.
that.
That's a nice way of that, fellas. You got to build up that testosterone so you can show
Well,
out.
yeah, I think that sometimes you have to know your partner and you have to really understand sex and intimacy. And if a man is, as he's getting older, having constant orgasms like that, that's not good for him. He needs to have some form of self preservation so that he's not depleted and can put on a good show. So for a woman, back to back, okay, we kind of like just keep rejuvenating and it keeps going. But for a man, it kind of depletes their life source. Once a man has an orgasm, that's kind of like everything he's got. He needs like that point of restoration. And if you're 7 nights a week and you're an older couple and he's declining, that can be a bit much on him. So that's why I say there's different levels of intimacy from, like you said, the phone calls and everything. But when it comes on to having an orgasm, there's other ways to reach those things.
See, for me, and then Tay, I promise we'll get you in here. For me, yes, the sex drive is a part of it. The decline in the sex drive. But for me, also, it's about preserving the freshness. If I'm doing it 5, 6, 7 times a week, it's gonna get old to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. And even after a few years, it's going to get somewhat mundane, routine. You get used to it and you start to take it for granted. So that's why I would say maybe focusing more so on quality and other things to build a connection. Because if the sex becomes mundane, or it gets to a point where me as a man, I can't function like I need to, that connection in other places is already established and is that much stronger. So, that's what I look at. The decline in sex drive is definitely a piece of it, but I think that it's more so just, to me, preserving the relationship long term. Because once I get sick of you in the sack, then I'm gonna start getting sick of you in other phases as well. That's just real.
But transparency, so
Yeah. But Tay, how important is it to you?
It's extremely important. It's not the most important thing in a relationship, but it ranks up there for me. Because I know if I'm not sexually fulfilled, like Annie said, I'll start to wander or want to wander. I'm gonna say I will. I say I'll want to. So I need something. If we're going to be monogamous, let me put that out there. If we're going to be monogamous, I need something that's going to make me want to be there. And so sex is
You need something that's gonna make you act right.
that
I'm not a child nor pet. There is no acting right.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Whatever. I don't, and I'm not saying I need it every day. Because I prefer quality over quantity. But as long as the quality is there, I don't mind mundane. It can be the same thing as long as it's quality.
Yeah. I think there's so many Black women who have not had good sex that once they run across a guy, top flight security, motherfucker like me, then it's like, I gotta have it. I want it all the time, when it's kind of like, chill. Yeah, I understand we're having a good time. I enjoy, giving you pleasure. And I'm thankful that you enjoy what I bring to the table or to the bedroom, but we ain't got to do it 2 or 3 times a night, every night. And I know there's some women that want to do that. I do. I know women that want to do that. Like, no, you ready? You ready? We just had a good session. I'm about to go to sleep. So that's my only thing.
I will say, for me, I do want it all the time. Let me say I do want it all the time, but I'm at an age where I understand that the men I date may not be on the same level. So I accommodate that. So that's why I say I don't need it every day, but if it happens every day, I will be happy.
And that's not, that may just be me and some of the dudes that I'm cool with. That, you know, they're like, look, you know, three times a week, I'm good with that. There may be some guys in they mid-40s, you know, mid-50s or whatever. They like, nah, shit, you want to do it? I'm down. You know, we generalizing, but I think if we honest, most of us are saying, most men in this age group, you know, in our audience group, they're going to say, you know, hey, 3-4 times a week, that's a healthy sex life.
Yeah, well, see, I will agree with Tay with quality over quantity. But, you know, at one point I was kind of like, something's going on wrong with me. Like, you know, I just got broke off. What's wrong? But I think the older you get, I will accommodate the male. As in, if I could be 7 nights a week, 7 nights a week it is. But I realize that might be exhausting for him. And so I will be accommodating and not. So if it's 3 nights a week, then it needs to be 3 quality nights a week that are going to hold me in between those times. Because I'm about to be 45 and I just feel like the older I get, the worse it gets. Like, you got that wife beater on? Take your ass on in the bedroom. Told you about wearing it. It is what it is.
Yeah, I understand. All right, so Annie, you're in the ATL, right?
Mhm.
We've had a couple other people from Atlanta on the show, so I kind of know what your answer is going to be when I ask you this. But how is dating in Atlanta?
Ooh, the dating pool is full of shit and piranhas. E- Either way, it's toxic. You know, it doesn't seem like you're going to get a lot of healthy outcomes. There's a lot of us out here dating and saying that we want certain things, but there's a lot of delusional individuals out here, a lot of grandiose thoughts, a lot of self entitlement. And honestly, in Atlanta, it just seems like while you do see people with valued relationships, it seems like everybody is moving towards, I would say, open relationships, hookup culture, nothing too serious. I'm doing me. And then you have the people who want to be married, but they can't find their soulmate because they hanging on to the playmate.
Mm. What do you mean?
So,
What you mean by they hanging on to the playmate? I mean they got, you know, they getting broke off, and that they have a situationship that is getting in the way of them finding a relationship. Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah, because I mean, let's just keep it real. Everybody's got needs. I wouldn't say that, you know, if I merge into dating someone, then everything else is off the table. Black book gone, DMs closed, everything is, I want to focus on that one person. However, if I have not said that we are exclusive, that man is probably going to need to tell me that's what he's looking for. Because if we're just hanging together and I'm not sleeping with you, please trust and believe I do have a maintenance contract and maintenance is being done.
I do.
Now, when once you are valued and you have warranted a presence and, you know, some commitment, then the maintenance man is always aware that when somebody comes along for a full-time job, you get cut, you get a pink slip. And that is just the culture for a lot of people right now.
Hmm.
You know, you have something on the side, but for some people, they don't know how to, like what I said, I cut everything off. I focus on that one person. Some people dibble and dabble between the two, and they're like, just in case this person mess up, I still got this going on. And I feel like you can still have that going on, but you can just sit that on the back burner. If you're honestly true and transparent, then you should be able to tell that person, hey, I'm going to pursue this with X, Y, and Z. Things don't work out, then they know to call back to work.
Now,
Oh.
the question to you is, Tay, hold your train of thought. Are you a maintenance employee as well? Meaning, is there a young man out there who's like, you know what, we got our thing, but I'm gonna try to make it work with my gal. So you're gonna have to sit to the side. Here's your furlough papers, and then when they don't work out, they say, "Hey, yo, Annie, what's up with it? Are you okay with it?"
Um,
Or is that only dudes that can fulfill those roles?
no, that's not only dudes. That I probably got one. I call him Chokem. And he brings enough excitement to make me return. Chokem is worth it. Chokem is like that one guy you shouldn't be messing with. Although he's a refined, distinguished gentleman, he's just got that thug in him that gets you upside the wall or up against the hotel window. Like every woman just deserves to be like that baby boy. You just want to get snatched one good time. Chokem can always put in a return to work paper in my department.
Okay.
I know that.
Shout out to Chokem. I don't feel right. I ain't calling no man Chokem. Shout out to that brother.
So are you at a point right now where you're looking in the waters? And if you are, how do you navigate the murkiness of those Atlanta waters?
Well, you know what? I was looking, my kids just recently graduated high school. And so last year I started realizing like, hey, you need to find something for yourself that's tangible, that's for keeps. And that's part of the reason why I dated like that, is because I just didn't want to integrate too many things in my household, raising two young men. So that's kind of changed. And I, was in a relationship. I thought it would be, that because I want a life partner. I don't want to be in this game forever. That's just too much. And it's kind of like what I said. You can be real and people can say that they're being real. When you will get to pulling back some layers, you'll find out that they're still operating just the way that they were. Now, I came to the table through and through. Black book gone, DMs closed down. I shut everything down because if I really want to focus on someone, I'm not going to do that. I'm not a cheater by any means. If I say I'm in a committed relationship, I'm in a committed relationship. So at this point, here I am starting over again, but I've decided to kind of take a little bit of a break because I'm in school and say that I'm not going to date for the next 6 months. I am going to focus on self-love. Because I thought that I was in a really good place for a relationship. However, I think maybe I stayed a little longer than I should have. And I felt like if I really was at the place of self-love within myself, I wouldn't have stayed so long. So I don't look at relationships as bad things. Like, people can badmouth and say, oh, well, that was just horrible and they did me like this. I take the bad experiences as learning lessons. There was good parts about it, but the bad experiences are learning lessons, and not so much as pointing fingers at that person, but why did I stay through this? And so that for me has led me for the next 6 months to say, before I go on this journey again, because I will, I want to make sure that I am loving myself complete and whole. And if I'm loving myself complete and whole, I will stand firm on my boundaries. And when I see certain things, I won't waver. There's a difference between giving grace and then recognizing patterns of behavior.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, one question. So, does that mean Mr. Chokem got extended a 6 month contract?
Actually, you know what? Because I was trying to do the right thing, I need to redo the starting lineup. Honestly.
All right.
So summer is, I guess I'll be spending the summer to get a starting lineup together for the fall, so I don't have to be cold come puddle season.
You say you trying to recruit a roster, huh?
You got to, because you always got somebody who's got injured, don't want to act right. You got to put them on the bench and get the next player in.
Okay, all right, shit, you tough. So
I mean, got time for playing games. It is what it is.
Gotcha. So here's the question: you brought up looking inside yourself and learning lessons from relationships that don't work out. I was just talking to a friend of mine. I can't remember who it is. I tell my business to everybody, obviously. But I was, talking about how I noticed how the relationships that I had that didn't work and the things that I have begun to not tolerate. Like now I'm in a place in my life that when certain situations manifest, certain red flags come up, I see it, it's a wrap. I'm not giving grace. I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt. I feel like I'm too old for that. And I feel like the people who I'm dating, they're too old to change. So when I see those things, it's a wrap. I question, am I being fair by doing that? Am I being fair to that person? But my answer to that is I'm actually being fair to myself. I'm doing myself justice by not tolerating something that I know that I can't live with. But the question that I have to ask, and I'll pose this to you and Tay, and I'm still looking to answer this question: what is it about me that seems to attract these patterns from people that ultimately I can't tolerate? Because it always seems to be one or two things, and it's the same thing. So I'm a firm believer in there's one common denominator when you look at certain situations, and I recognize that common denominator is me. So I'm wondering, what am I putting off to attract those things that I just can't tolerate? Have you asked yourself that question?
Yes, and that is why I've taken the time off just for me. And I think that sometimes we don't do enough of this, but people are like, oh, well, that's kind of crazy. No, my next 6 months and after the breakup, I went to therapy, not because of the breakup, because there were some things in me, exactly what you said. What is it about me that I'm attracting certain things? And for me, when I started to doing the self reflection, what I found was that I said I was a humble person. And the issue that I was dealing with the ex was being very arrogant, selfish, and self centered. And so, one thing that I learned about myself is that I'm not arrogant enough and I don't give myself enough credit. Arrogance is a good thing. I bring a lot of things to the table that I would say a lot of women have embraced modern standards of dating, femininity, and all those things. I'm a very traditional type woman with the flair of, modern thrown in there. But one thing that I looked back to say was, why do I feel so guilty about putting myself first? And I looked at it, started at a very young age, being the oldest of my siblings, and then being in a role where I had a sick parent. So I was a caregiver. I always put the needs of others before myself. And then when it was called to put my needs first, because it was frowned upon at times, like, oh, well, you're being selfish and self centered, I started to feel bad. And it transcended from that, from adolescent until my adult life and until relationships. I should never feel bad about putting myself first. It's a natural thing to nurture others, but you have to nurture yourself. And then I realized that maybe what attracts some people is that I'm a giver to a fault. And it seems that I attract takers. I'm a giver to a fault, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's probably that person on the other end that is your taking your meekness for your weakness, and I'm never weak. I am just, this is who I am. Sometimes people radiate. I thought it was a bad thing, but what I learned is that sometimes you can have an aura that's so bright that people are automatically drawn to you, be it female, male, and that is who I am as a person. But what I hadn't learned how to do well enough was the discernment of who I allow to be closest in my space,
You
who
know,
has access to me. It's not wrong for me to operate how I operate, but having the better discernment of who I allow access to that goodness is why I feel like I find myself in those situations, along with, I think, uh daddy issues. my dad left at a very young age, and some things that we think are not traumatic are traumatic, because I remember probably at 5 years of age that sitting in court and he gave up his rights to custody so he wouldn't have to pay child support. And so I think a part of me was longing for that unconditional love and not wanting to watch the male walk away. And then I had to bring it back full circle and say, the best thing that could have ever happened to me was my biological father walking away, because it left the opportunity for the foundation of a woman that I am now, and for another man, my stepfather, who was equipped to be a father, to raise me. And so that is my thing. I think of holding on sometimes when I shouldn't, because it's that thing of another male walking away. So you want to kind of hold on to some kind of love, but every love is not good love.
You know, I empathize with you when it comes to being a giver, because I'm a giver. You know, most people who know me know that I give you my last. I literally would give you my last, because I know that, you know what, I can figure it out. Obviously, you need it. I'll figure it out, or I'll do without. Don't worry about it. And I have some friends that be like, man, you be letting people fuck you over. And I'm like, nah, no, because I know that I'm going to be blessed. And if they are trying to screw me over, that's going to come back to them. You know, whether you believe in karma, energy, whatever, when you do people who are good to you dirty, it comes back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw one of these guys on Instagram. He's a preacher. I can see his face, but I don't know his name, so I can't give him credit. But he talked about how us being givers, and then the takers that come into our lives. And takers have no boundaries. They will take and take and take. They're like vampires. They will take and take until you are done, and then they will go to the next body.
Exactly.
But also, us as givers have a responsibility, because we don't have any boundaries either. We don't know how to set healthy boundaries for ourselves, to be like, let them motherfuckers figure it out, because they will. They'll figure it out. Say something for yourself. Say something for yourself. So, in a sense, when you talk about letting the wrong people into your life, are the takers actually wrong? Or are we to blame for putting them in a position to take? It's like, you know, you got your cousin who's an alcoholic, and you take him to the bar with you. Who's really wrong? Is it you that took him there, or him because he can't stop drinking?
It's you. And I take full ownership, because
And I'm with you. I'm with you in that. I'm not trying to cast judgment. I think we.
no, but I think that enough people don't look, that it's quick to point the finger at the person. He did this or she did this to me. Guess what? I saw the pattern. I addressed the pattern, and it continued. As of this point, it can only be like, this person did this the first time. Anything else is my fault, because I kept showing up for the bullshit. So I would say, like you, one of the things that I'm learning is boundaries. Givers don't have boundaries. And then what we can't do is cry and say, why does everyone always do me like this? Why are you allowing people to do you like this? What boundaries do you have? You know?
What George Bush say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, ain't gonna get
Pretty,
fooled again.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So that's why I said, look, you know what? I want to take a break. At the same time, I know some women are going to get mad at me for this, but I feel like relationships are not always good, but I am just so sick and tired of all the posts of bitter ass Black women that men ain't shit, they don't do shit. I'm just tired. Like, take the time to go heal, go do the self work. Although the relationship didn't work, and several ways that I feel that I was taken advantage of or not appreciated or valued, does not deter me from the next man who stands before me, where I say, well, I'm not going to do this for him because my ex used. No, I want to be able to present before the next man with the same goodness. If he doesn't get something, it's because his behavior warranted me taking it away.
Yeah, I get that. I get that a lot.
Black women do that, Tay. They say that men haven't done this, and so they're just taking, I'm just gonna be celibate till I die. I don't want to deal with another man. That's a damn lie, because I want my back toe out until it can't get tore out anymore. I'm not turning down men. Like, why? What's the point?
No, I totally agree with you. I do have an issue with men and women on the internet, you know, putting down the opposite sex or even their own sex, which is why Derek Jackson never appealed to me, because he put down men so much. But so in your journey of learning how to put up your boundaries, what does that journey for you look like? How are you how are you fortifying that? How are you making sure that when you get into your next situation that you can make sure that you're able to set your boundaries?
Well, the first thing is the giving part, being a giver. I will not give myself to a man or give him a commitment. When I said about being too humble, I realized that I am very much a prize, so they can compete. And the man who shows himself according or approval, stands on his word through and through, his actions line up with his words, that is the man who will win me. I will not ride on my emotion of, sometimes we can get head over heels. Oh, he treats me like this and he does that. Oh, well, he didn't follow through with this, but he's so good with that. No. And then we just give ourselves to this person. And it could be a male or a female. I'm speaking from a female point of view. We give ourselves to this person, and then we're struggling like, why aren't they as committed to me as I am to them? Why don't they see the value in me? Why are they trying to still entertain these things or those things? So I will never just say, okay, we've been dating and we're consistent with one another. And I make it known and will make it known going forward. You are not the only one here. So just know that I'm assessing how you move as a man, and that will determine how you stay. But the man who wins is the man who gets me. And so that is going to be the difference for me. Before I would assign myself to a man, oh, he treats me good, so we're in a relationship. And he can say, oh, I want to be with you. Are your actions lining up with your words? You're telling me this, but that doesn't line up. And so then what we often do is find ourselves arguing with that person. But you told me X, Y, and Z, and you're not doing. Why are you arguing with somebody? If someone shows you or tells you something and shows you who they are, believe them. I would say that one thing I learned about myself is having what I call the fairy tale syndrome, the knight in shining armor. Oh, they'll be better. They're just going through some stuff. No, if you ain't shit, you ain't shit. It is what it is. I don't care how you dress you up. So that's one of my things, is having allow the man to compete. Don't just give them the prize. Have my boundaries and don't feel bad about them enforcing them. A big thing that Marvin said that I learned is we are just too old. If someone shows you who they are and they're saying this and I'm not going to change, don't think you're going to change them. As women, sometimes we tend to think, oh, if the sex is this good, or if I do this much more for him that he said other women didn't do, then he's going to be with, hey, ain't nobody going to be with you, male or female, unless that is what they want to do. And if someone is old and set in their ways, I don't have time for that. Just move on.
So are you telling guys that they in competition?
Yes, I do now. I do tell them that, look, I'm going to be.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that, because I'm gonna try to get to us one time. I'm gonna try to get one time and be like, he can have you.
Yeah, I just, people want to say, oh, are you dating other people? I'm honest to say, yes, I am dating openly.
No, I get it. That's fine. I'm being
Yeah.
silly. Yeah. But I know that the male ego, sometimes you got to be careful.
Well, probably I shouldn't say it like that, because like what you said, then it becomes a ego competition for a man. Like,
well, yeah, for men it become an ego competition, right? Where like every time you with one or the other, he'd be like, they'll be making snide comments about the other dude. They're gonna be feeling some type of way, and it's gonna mess up the vibe that y'all have. Now, on the flip side, if I was a man and I said, well, I'm dating 2 or 3 women, and whichever one of y'all does me the best, that's what's gonna win. Most women I know would be like, "Hey man, fuck you, go ahead be with her," because I'm not finna put up with that. Most of the black women I know, that's how they would handle that. I mean, y'all probably would be the same way if I told y'all that. Like, yo,
I guess it's not actually in a competitive way. It's just a transparency of saying I have not assigned myself to one person. When that person comes along, fine. But as
or
far
maybe
as
a better way of saying it is, maybe
yeah,
I'm just trying to find the right fit.
right. Pretty much that. Because like you said, if you say you're in competition, but for me, they're all in competition. I'm not assigned to one person.
Hunger Games. So I got a question for you. You know, we just been deep. This has been a good show. How tall are you? Now I know how tall you are, but our viewers don't. How tall are you?
I am 4'10" and a half, and I take my half seriously.
So I know why you take the half seriously, because if you 4'10", right, that's considered a little person.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with someone the other day. We're like, "Are you a little person?" And I'm like, "Well, that depends on what the height requirement is. I don't think I make it." Now, I didn't think they was gonna go Google it because I already know what it is, and they was like, "You do realize that you're a little person?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't get to check." But what do they say? Good things come in small packs.
Do little people actually get checks?
Oh yes.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I just missed the ability to get the scholarship, because there is a scholarship for people to go to school due to being a little person or in a certain height range.
But you don't have.
I don't have any.
You don't have the traits.
Right. So the
you have
thing why I
traits
qualify is because I don't have a diagnosis with my small stature. If I had dwarfism or limb disorder, then I would qualify. But since everything is normal, I don't.
You're just a tiny woman.
I'm tiny, but my mom's probably 5'1", and my aunt is 4'9". So I'm taller than my aunt.
Okay.
So tiny and run in my family.
So what type of men are you attracted to? Tall, short?
I always get ate up when I say this, but tall. I say 5'10" is an exception if he's really nice. I have dated shorter, but I've had to really convince myself. But I like 6 feet and above. I mean, it's something about climbing Jacob's ladder for me.
So how do guys approach you? Like, do you find that guys look at you as like a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a trophy,
Conquest.
but a conquest, or like something exotic because of your height?
Yes. That's sometimes, depending on how that guy vocalizes it, is a turn off, because I've had men that I'll, just be casually talking to, or, and they just say something off the wall like, "Oh, you bite size. I can have you all upside the wall. I'll just be dragging you everywhere." And I'm just like, that's so inappropriate. Like, even if you were thinking like that, or I've had them say, "Dang, you bigger than a teenager." Then I really get alarmed, because I'm like, what are you into? Is it the adolescent body type that you're drawn to? Because I'm very much a grown woman, but I would think it's more the taboo.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but because I know you, yes, you are short in height, but you are all woman. Like, y'all could tell she's a very beautiful woman. You got shape, you got curves. Nothing about you looks like a teenager or an adolescent. You're just a small woman.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But when men make those comments, I'm kind of like, So I think that the thing is, they do tend to think that that's an automatic, they won the championship belt hands down. Ain't no way I could be any competition, until they find their soul snatched, which I usually just let them talk. It is what it is.
Is it true that we all the same height laying down? That's what short dudes say all the time. Do you think the same way?
Yeah. I mean, we all the same height laying down. You can make it work.
I'm 6'3".
So I look, and I'm not even the one asking the questions. Have you ever found yourself vertically challenged with someone intimately because of their height?
What do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
Things that you can't do, or you feel like you have to maybe remix in order to do those intimate situations with those people?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I'm a big dude, so obviously, if and I go off looks and energy. So,
Mhm.
mess with women who are bigger in stature. So sometimes you got to adjust. You got to work your angles, right? Um,
Right.
I like tall women because like I said, I'm 6'3".
Mhm.
Sometimes taller women, the first thing they say is like, well, I got that trick knee, so I can't ride you like I can't ride you like I want to, Cleophas. You know what I mean? So you got to adjust with that. Um, I you know what? I don't know that I have really been with someone that I would consider, what's the appropriate way to say it? Short, tiny. I don't want to be offensive.
Oh, I guess all of the above work.
Yeah. I have never been with somebody that is your height, and I think probably the shortest maybe 5'2", 5'3", if I'm thinking. But I think most of the women I've dated what I would consider either tall or average in height. What's average height for a woman? 5'5", 5'6".
Oh, it's probably like 5'5", 5'6".
So yeah, that's probably been my normal because of my size.
But then there's the flip side to what you just said. There are plenty of men that I've encountered, so 50-50. They'll be like, oh, she's attractive, but she's too tiny for me.
You know what? I would, I might say that. And you know why I might say that? Because I'm a big dude. And if me and you were going on a date, like I would love to hang out with you. I love you as a
Mhm.
friend. You're a vibe, you're funny as hell, you're intelligent, you're easy on the eyes, all those things.
Mhm.
Make sure you send the check in the mail because I said all this nice things about
I got you.
it. But the contrast between a 6'3" big dude from a 4'11" woman, it makes me even look bigger. You know what I'm saying? I look like one of the monsters on Space Jam next to you. So some dudes may be self-conscious because of that.
This is true. So I would always say, because I prefer taller, you have to be prepared for the stairs. And the tallest I dated is 6'8.5". So you could imagine the stairs that we got and how much taller I make him look. He's an ex-basketball player. So when we went into places, sometimes it was like, let's just get in and get a seat real quick, because you have people asking, how tall are you, to both of us?
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't a freak show. I know I'm extremely small and he's extremely tall. And us being together just makes it, polar opposites on the other end, makes me look a lot smaller, them a lot taller. But there are the guys who say, oh, she's a great person. She lines up in every ways, but she is just too tiny for me.
It happens. I mean, there's people that say, "Oh, he's funny, he's intelligent, he's handsome as fuck, but he's too big for me." So there's always.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And like who like you.
do you? Because I know a lot of tall women,
Mhm.
and a lot of them was like, "Where the tall men?" Because honestly, it's not a lot of guys my height. And for tall people, I'm actually considered short. When you talk about people who consider themselves tall, I'm 6'3", so and by no means am I a short dude, right?
Mm-mm.
There's guys I know, like I'm in some tall groups and on Facebook or whatever, and they would consider me short because most of the men are like 6'8", 6'9", 7 foot or whatever. So I'm considered short.
Oh,
They call guys like me short talls, if that makes any sense.
it does.
But the women, in order to be considered tall, you have to be like 5'10" or above.
Hmm.
They often complain about, well, damn, I can't. I want somebody I can wear heels with. I want to wear heels with somebody and not be towering over him. And then here you show up, Annie, all 4'10.5"
I have gotten a lot.
You pulling the
I,
6'8". I know the tall women got to really be throwing shade your way.
yes, yes. I've gotten a lot of slack from women. They're like, she can leave the tall ones for us. Like anybody she date is taller than her. And I'm like, uh, he don't want you, even if, he had a choice. But, they do. They look and they're like, what is he doing with her? Like, there's not enough tall men to go around for tall women, like you said, where they can wear heels and stuff. So yes, I have gotten nasty looks or little comments, and I'm kind of like, it's whatever.
Mm.
So with your height requirement of the guys that you date, do you find that limits your dating pool in any kind of way?
No, not really. But I've tried to be more open-minded as I started dating last year and saying that we can say that there's no good men out here. And I'm like, well, there are. I'm probably just looking over them because they're not 6 feet. And I know that I haven't given chances to men because they were shorter, but they probably were the better man for me. But I'm just like, this doesn't do it for me. So moving forward, I don't want to date anyone shorter than 5'7". I have dated some, but it's just, for everybody, it's different. To me, it's that masculinity, grab you up, wrap you up. No shade on little men, but I just don't feel that same level of protection or security that I do with the big man kind of thing. So that's the turn on for me. And if it goes to intimacy, I I want someone who dominates me, not someone that I feel that I could possibly dominate.
Mm. We're gonna have a lot of short brothers mad as fuck at this, right? The short men and the tall women gonna send a lot of hate mail.
Well, I'm not saying that they can't, but that's just how I feel. I would want someone who that screams masculinity to me. I don't want to feel like I can flip you over and choke you out during sex. I want to feel like you have the control.
Hmm. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I totally understand that because I have those same sentiments.
That it just is what it is,
I get it. I get it. So in your since right now you're at a point in your life where you're giving, relationships a break. What does your well, I guess you said you're starting your starting lineup for the fall. So right now, are you celibate or do you still have somebody on the side until you get your starting lineup?
Oh, now if you want me to be totally transparent, which I have such a problem with, some people say I shouldn't be so transparent. Like Marv, I tell all my business because whatever. No. So when you're going through breakups, this is one of the reasons why I said that I'm not dating. When you're going through a breakup, sometimes we just jump out of stuff and like I'm on to, but it's unsettled. And what I mean by unsettled, you're done with that relationship, but somehow you found yourself back in that person's bed because it was unsettled. You just said, I'm not going to take this, and boom, you were just like, but you still have that connection. So one of the reasons why I said that I wasn't dating is because in the past, I've always been the one who has had all the control. When I tell you, you get cut off, you get cut off, and that's it. I've been pretty cold hearted and not looked back. But I think in order to set yourself up to actually be in an endearing relationship, you have to be able to be vulnerable. And so this time around, taking that step of vulnerability, I found myself in a place where I couldn't just walk away like I did everyone else and be like, deuces, your time is up, pink slip. Nope, because I allowed them into a place that I don't usually allow people. So for me, I don't think it's fair for me to date right now because when you said celibate or not, no, I'm not gonna lie. Every now and then I still get a tap up from the ex, but that is diminishing and diminishing. So I think for women, the last thing to usually go is the intimacy. All these other parts have gone for me. I'm not somebody who's out sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but there are moments there. And I'm just going to be honest, I'm in school. I do not have a lot of time for trying to date this guy and see which one is worthy of getting some, and then just hoping he can snatch my soul and even get the job right. So it's kind of like when you've employed somebody before and you say this person is good for the job, even though I don't like them.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm working through it, because yeah, mentally I'm done. But for the woman, for me, the intimate part, the body is usually the last thing to go. And I said that I was going to allow myself to actually feel the breakup, allow the feelings to work through me, and go through the course, whatever that may look like, and give myself grace, the same grace that I give to others. If I find myself there, it's not wrong. That's someone you had an endearing relationship with. You're not trying to go sleep with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but it's slowly dwindling. And when I get to the point that I know that person touches me and I feel absolutely nothing, then I know that I am truly done. I don't want to be confronted with someone who knows my heart and how to touch my heart and then go and be with someone else. And then you find yourself in that moment of vulnerability, like, why did I do this? You know? So that's where I'm at. So no, I'm not celibate. I got a little raggedy maintenance plan and lots of toys. So
All right. So we're gonna ask you just a few more questions, rapid fire, okay?
okay.
Ask you 2 questions rapid fire, and then we got a game that we play when we wrap up the show. And
Okay.
okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate your freak factor? How freaky are you? Scale of 1 to 10.
10. Any man who gets me has probably got a unicorn. You don't get that many women like me in life.
What's the freakiest thing you ever done?
Oh, I better pass.
You have to tell us off air. Okay. All right. Okay. What's give us something freaky that you have done
Mm-hmm.
in your mind.
Well, I would say something freaky that I have done. It's probably 1 year for my birthday. I had a hotel downtown Atlanta, and probably a little too much to drink, and the edibles hit just right. So everybody who was downstairs in line waiting for the club seen the whole show all up beside the window. And I knew they were watching, but I didn't care.
Okay. All right. That's that. I said you probably be you probably be a 10. You ain't give us all the goods, but that shows that you inclined to have no inhibitions. So I think we can go ahead and trust that she's a 10. Tay, what do you think?
I think so.
All right, so Tay, we got a game that we do. I'll let Tay handle it. All right, before we wrap the show up.
Yes, the game that we play at the end of every show is called Nasty or Normal. So I'm going to give you a sexual situation or act or something like that, and you tell me if for you it's nasty or normal.
Okay.
So watching porn with your partner, is that nasty or normal?
Normal.
Okay.
What about they want to watch it by themselves?
I don't care. I'm not a big porn person. Like, if we're gonna watch it, we can watch it. I'd rather make a movie.
When you do you have a particular category that you like?
Just extremely well endowed.
Oh, okay. You like the BBC.
Yeah.
I got you. Damn, I mean, the B410, you can handle all that?
Hey, look, if we ain't got a lot of height, we got to make up in a compartment space, right?
Plus the vaginal canal stretches and it can maneuver and everything. So.
That part.
That should be in your damn sternum. I actually think it's cool. I think it, can kind of set the mood, and it helps you, especially like with a new partner. It kind of sets the mood, and you can kind of gauge what a person likes. You know,
Mm.
like I had a couple of people who I was like, well, show me what you like to watch, and they thought it was a cool exercise. And it's like, oh, that's what you like. That's the type of women that you like. I said, no, I don't have a particular type that I want to, that I watch. There are types that I have that I watch when I watch porn, but that doesn't mean that translate into the real world where I'm going to discriminate. Like I have
Right.
I have a fetish for certain body types or whatever. And it's good to see what she likes. I think the porn y'all watch be boring though. Like I've seen a lot of chicks recently. They like watching the massage porn, where like a chick's getting massage, and then it ends up like in a happy ending type of stuff. And I'm like, man, this shit boring as hell.
Yeah, that's kind of lame. That's kind of lame. I don't want to see the gangbang.
Look, Tay taught me, don't yuck nobody's yum. That's their thing. But I'm just kind of like, I like to see hardcore. Let's get to it. But
yeah, I think if I'm gonna see something, I don't want to see gangbang, because that's not something that I would actually engage in and enjoy. I guess the things that I want to see are things that I could actually experience or try with the person I'm intimate with. So yeah, we're not about to do no gangbangs with you and your homeboys, but I would like to say I like the ones where the men take a more masculine role, like a more dominant role. Probably the ones where they make them take it.
Okay.
Leave that alone. All right, Tay.
I think that's completely normal for me. Yeah. And you can use it as a enhancer at times. It can, maybe spice up things. If you find something new you might want to try, I think it's normal.
All right, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
And we can really wrap it up because we went long, but this has been a great show. What search engine do you use?
You mean the site?
Yeah.
I have a few that I like.
What search engine you use? I know you say you don't watch a lot of porn, but
I don't really. You know what? Something will have to come to me up there. I know back in the day I used to like Blacktail.
Okay. I like xvideo.com. And the reason why I like xvideo is because like you got your searches or whatever, and they do a lot of filtering. So like, if you're straight, they're only going to really show you straight porn. You're not going to. Every now and again, something will show up, and you're like, "Damn, why they put that in there?" No shade to people who are gay or whatever. Who like to see male on male sex. I just don't want to see it. So they do a good job of filtering that out. And you can also go look at your history. So if you're like, damn, I had a fire ass scene a couple weeks ago, you can go to your history and look at what you watched. And
Go back.
Yeah, you can go back. So I like xvideo.
Okay.
I should say that because they ain't sponsoring the show. They ain't giving us no damn money.
No, they're not. But that's one of the ones that I've used. I use Pornhub, Xhamster, XNXX, GhettoTube. There was one that I used to. Yeah,
GhettoTube.
No, because with the other ones, they are the homepage is usually white people, and with GhettoTube, I hate to say that, but it's black people. It's all black people, so
yeah.
Well,
I prefer that.
So it does make a difference. I mean, I date out of my race. I married out of my race, but I like to see people with a little melanin.
Yeah.
So
I like xvideo because the algorithm, it shows you like black people because I want to see black people, and it also show the type of if you watch a certain type of scene, when you go back to it, it'll show you some things that are similar to that. It's like
like YouTube, it'll filter stuff based on what you.
Yeah. Okay. It's an algorithm. Another thing that I noticed that when I was in other countries, it would filter to that country. So like Tay and I were in Colombia, and I started noticing that it was a lot of like Spanish type stuff like that. And then when I was
Oh,
in Spain, it was showing like stuff from Spain or what have you. So it kind of follows you, but I'm always kind of leery of that because I don't know how other countries' laws are, and
right,
I don't want to end up in the in the pen because I wanted to rub one out. So,
right.
but
We don't want.
anyway, we didn't ran long. I really enjoyed you. I really enjoyed you, Annie. You're very insightful. You're funny. Easy to look at. We're gonna talk about the show because you owe me something, and you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
We're gonna say that after the show because we'll say that after the show, but you owe me something. But tell you
Okay.
where they can find us.
You can find us at Conversate After Dark everywhere. And if you want to be a guest on the show, even if you want to be anonymous, or you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach us at cvadthepodcast@gmail.com. And make sure you like this video, share it, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
That's right. You also go to our website, conversateafterdark.com. We'll watch you next time. Peace.
Bye.